ever really experimented with writing my own songs. I'd always just loved singing other people's. And I wrote some pretty horrendous love songs and ballads, but that was kind of, that planted the seed. And in amongst the complete and utter rubbish, I did actually write a couple of songs that still to this day are some of my favourite songs that I wrote when I was sort of 15, 16. And I've got a notebook that I keep that's just full of scribblings. And I keep every song that I write, even with all the crossing outs and the change of lyrics. I try and date them and keep them. And I've got some very old ratty bits of paper that I'm very proud of. But I mean, you take a song like Mr. Cash. I wrote that when I was, let me think, probably 19, 20. And that's still to this day. I mean, I'm 32 now. One of my most requested songs, a song that I love singing at every show that I can.
Yeah.
You know, House of Cards, I wrote that about 7-8 years ago. So I think my writing will continue to change and hopefully continue to grow. But in terms of whether or not I'll ever have a career out of it, I'm still working on it.
So, bit of a nerdy music industry question then. So, in terms of your releases, you've got your album Kezia that came out in 2017. You've got the EP, which came out in 2019, and a few singles. Are you someone that is looking to release an album, or are you just going to go down the path you think of just releasing singles? Because people seem to now, especially over the last couple of years, want more, like, less music more frequently, rather than waiting for like a year for like an album or 2 years for an album. Where do you see yourself going with that, or have you even thought about it?
Yeah, very much so. It's something that I do put a lot of thought into. The singles route is definitely the winning route at the moment for artists, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is very much what you said. Audiences have quite a short attention span, no disrespect, but with music coming out all the time, I think almost drip feeding yourself to people means that you're constantly on people's minds.
Yeah.
Another option is just the finance of putting an album together. You can budget and just put out a song every 3 or 4 months, sort of a pay-as-you-go album, if you will, because as an independent musician, you know, it can cost thousands to put a really good, well-produced song together. You also then have all the promotion and the press release and the radio play and the time it takes into getting that promotion wheel moving. So in terms of putting all your energy into one song at a time, that works. But equally, for streaming, which is at the moment the sole way to get heard as an artist. I mean, you can sell CDs at gigs, but ultimately the holy grail for an artist is to get good streams on things like Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple. So the way to make sure that every song gets the best chance is to release them as singles. If you were to release an album, say for example, onto Spotify, you can only submit one song for playlist. So that means then the other 9 songs that might be on that album kind of get missed. And you could have one big hit, say for example, House of Cards could do really well, and that might pull a few people in, but really it means that other songs on the album aren't getting the same spotlight that they perhaps deserve. So at the moment, that's why I think so many people are going down the singles route. It's certainly why I am. I'd love to maybe put together a kind of collaborative EP towards the end of the year. So then you can take sort of the 5 or 6 singles that I've produced and make a physical copy of something that people can purchase. Would I like to do an album again? Absolutely, yes, I would. But I just think right here, right now, the way the music industry is, the way my bank balance is, singles are all good.
Perfect. Cool. So we'll start wrapping it up. Do you have any favourite artists at the moment, maybe that are a bit under the radar that you think anyone should be listening to, or is there anyone you've really got on repeat at the moment?
Wow, okay, let me have a think. Well, I suppose it wouldn't really be classed as under the radar, but for me, Cam is just...
Why is she not huge?
Well, you say that, but I suppose the thing is, it's like with country music, it's still my argument that country music is very niche. I have quite a lot of friends and family that aren't avid country fans. That they'll listen to my music and they'll come to my shows and they might say like Dolly Parton or Kenny Rogers, but they wouldn't know who Dierks Bentley is, or they wouldn't know who Little Big Town is. And I think unless you're involved in the scene, these names just won't mean anything to you. And I think Cam is so good. Her songwriting is so prolific, like a song like Burning House. And another name I would put into that mix, Ashley McBryde. Like that song Girl Going Nowhere for me is like the anthem of my life. And I just feel like I have said so many times to people, have you heard of Ashley McBryde? Never heard of her. And I'm like, you need to just, whether you like country music or not, you need to listen to these women because they have incredible voices and they have something incredible to say. And don't let the fact that they're just country put you off, because it shouldn't. Yeah. I think it's a stigma that we're all trying to break down. And I think eventually it will. But yeah, they're certainly women that I aspire to be anything like.
So all being well, let's say the second half of the year goes back to normality. What are your plans? Rescheduling gigs? Have you got more records that you want to get out?
Yeah, so I think realistically, I mean, all of the festivals that I was due to sort of play and headline this year have postponed. So I think my plan for this year was to get out, tour and play and sort of grow my audience performance-wise. But I've very much kind of gone into social media and promotion, advertising, playlisting. I'm really trying to make my online presence bigger so that when I can get back to performing and I can get back to gigging, I've got a bigger audience to work with. Excuse me. So moving forwards this year, I think just keep putting the effort into the music. I've got a couple more singles that I'd like to bring out later this year. I think maybe even try and do a music video before the end of the year, because I think visuals are so important. And I think I basically just want to build a strong foundation so that next year when I can perform, I've got great songs to perform and I've got great people to perform them to.
Perfect. So this time is actually a good time to do some down work that perhaps you wouldn't have time to do when you're on the road.
That's it, exactly that. This is kind of like the dirty bit that I hate, like just building all the foundations to build the beautiful house on later. The beautiful house is the only bit that people see. But just
Kezia Gill, we'll leave it there.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kevin.
So there we have it, Kezia Gill for you. I still can't believe that on one trip to Nashville she played the Bluebird and the Ryman on consecutive days. If you want to find out more about Kezia, her music is available on all good streaming platforms. You can also find her on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and at keziagill.com. Her new single, Another You, is out on the 17th of April. So that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for listening to the first show. I've got a ton of great more acts lined up for you in the coming weeks, already booked in from both the UK and the US. So please do subscribe on whichever streaming podcasty platform you're listening from. And please do leave a review if you can. If you're listening through another means, you can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and many others. The show's on Facebook at Total Country Pod and on Twitter it's at Total Country Pod. This is the best place to see what's coming up in future shows, see if we get any future competitions. If you do want to drop me an email, it's totalcountrypod@gmail.com or feel free to contact me through the socials. Next week's guest is Danny McMahon, so please do join us then. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Kevin Angel. You've been great. Ciao for now. Keep it country.